Hello everyone, I'm Larry Huffman, your host of On Two Wheels. In this episode, the Supercross story continues to unfold with the 1983 San Diego Supercross from Jack Murphy Stadium. Although 1983 crowns David Bailey as national champion, Brock Glover takes the limelight because Brock happens to be the hometown favorite. And look for the emergence of Jeff the Green Giant Ward as he comes of age in 1983. Let's join Paul Page and Johnny Rutherford one more time for the 1983 San Diego Supercross.
It's a wonderful crowd at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, but not here for football or baseball, because down on the floor of the stadium, there are 5,000 straw bales, and on top of that straw, over 10,000 tons of dirt to form a stadium motocross course, an extremely challenging course here in San Diego. The riders leave the gate. It's a short straightaway, but it quickly funnels down into a very tight berm turn. It becomes a whirlpool. A mistake here could end the day for any rider. Then a series of rockers that turn back to the left as they approach a 15-foot elevated jump. It's also the finish line. After they land, it's back to the left and over a series of washboards that'll jar the bones and take the endurance out of any rider. And then it's a hairpin turn to the right and up this colossal mountain, 20 feet in the air, a 40-foot jump, a challenging circuit.
Hello, I'm Paul Page with Johnny Rutherford, and that's the challenge. A twisting temporary circuit on the floor of Jack Murphy Stadium. And many of the top riders in the United States are here to give it their best. And many of those same riders learned the art of motocross in the hills not far from here. So for those reasons alone, this is a very special race. It's special too, John, because it's a free-for-all.
Yes, Paul, this is what you'd call your basic shootout. This is a chance for these guys to go at each other in a race that really doesn't have any bearing on the national championship or the points for the year. It's a chance for them to go for a lot of prize money. It's also a chance for, as you say, the guys that learned in these hills around San Diego to go against the hometown folks so they can get that real hometown cheering. It's also a chance for David Bailey, the 1983 Supercross champion, to prove that he's still the man to beat.
Now, there was one surprise in the first heat race. The 1981 Supercross champion, Mark Barnett, was running all alone, unchallenged in the lead, when suddenly he hooked a hay bale and was thrown off the bike. Now, he was uninjured, but he did not make the cut, and he will not be riding in the feature. Now, there is one name that is magic here in San Diego. It seems that no matter how they build the circuit, he is able to accept the challenge and go on to win. He is Brock Glover. Let's meet him now with Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, he's known as the golden boy of motocross or stadium cross or supercross racing. Take your pick. He's definitely the hometown favorite. He's grown up here in the San Diego area. He's won this event the last 2 years. We're talking, of course, with Brock Glover. How important is it to have this hometown advantage with the family, the relatives, and all those folks cheering for you?
Well, I think it's really nice. To tell you the truth, it's the only race really in the whole year that we get that, and the stadiums are a lot louder than the outdoor events, so they really get to voice their opinion up there, and makes a big difference being from San Diego and going against riders from all over the country. And I think it gets me a lot more pumped up, a lot more psyched up for the race, and I definitely perform to my top when I'm here.
Now, right across from us here, there is the biggest jump in the history of supercross racing. It's a 20-footer. That is a giant mountain. Does it pose any particular problems?
Well, that's the biggest jump, like you said, we've ever had in Supercross. It is definitely big. It's got a hay bale base, actually, which is a new style of construction, but it's 25 feet tall, and that's a long ways. And when we come flying over the top of it, it's a long ways down to the other side, and it's definitely a rush. It's one of our most exciting jumps we've had.
This is a very demanding layout, to say the least. You got to go 20 laps around here. It really takes a toll on your body, I would think.
Oh, definitely. This is like a sprint race. It's almost like maybe a 100-yard dash or a 440 or something like that, but you have to do it 20 laps in a row, and that's what makes it tough. These supercrosses, even some of our outdoors, are a little longer races than this, but the supercrosses are, like I said, a sprint race, and after you get done, you're very fatigued and very winded.
All right, Brock Glover ready to go, trying to make it 3 in a row in front of the hometown fans here in San Diego as we go back upstairs.
Well, they do love Brock Glover here in Southern California, and there are plenty of them here in the stands today to see the San Diego Supercross. But let's see how the feature has been set up as we go back to the first heat, when young Jeff Ward survived a first lap accident and assumed the lead when Barnett fell on the third lap, held off a last-minute charge by Goat Breaker, and went on to win. That sent Ward, Breaker, Rod Smith, and Warren Reed on to the feature. Then as the gate dropped for heat number 2, they accelerated evenly, everyone heading for that funnel of the first turn. But then a problem developed as Jeff Hicks dropped the bike. Most of the field bottled up behind him. At that start, Dave Bailey, the little professor, took advantage of a tremendous hole shot, got a wonderful start, and took the lead. But in the closing laps, he began to battle with Rick Johnson on number 16. In the final lap, they were closing on some slower riders and had to deal with the back marker traffic running for the finish. It was Johnson able to move past the little professor Dave Bailey. Could he hold on to the finish? Bailey began to respond to the challenge. Johnson handled the slower traffic very well, but Bailey was able to close down. It was Bailey and Johnson side by side, the final lap now. Bailey almost was able to get past Johnson as they came toward the final turns. Bailey and Johnson running for the finish line. Could Johnson hold him off? Then Bailey got slowed by a back marker, and it was Rick Johnson up and over the finish line. So Johnson and Bailey, John Finkelday, and Todd Peterson went to the final. In the third heat, it was young 16-year-old Ron Lechine, a 10-bike-length victory over the second-place rider Brian Myerscough. Jim Tarantino came in third and Keith Bowen in fourth. Bowen was able to get his fourth place, though, as he passed a stalled Donnie Cantaloupe. Now, Cantaloupe would be forced to ride again if he was to make it into the feature. In the fourth heat, the only woman rider in the event, Doreen Payne, suffered a serious fall and a fracture to her upper leg, but doctors said she would ride again. It was the hometown favorite, Brock Glover, an easy win over a fight that developed for second place between Clint Hardick and Mike Fisher. Johnny O'Mara finished in fourth and headed on to the feature as well. Two riders would be chosen out of each of the two semis to move to the feature. In the first semi, it was again a first-turn accident. Fortunately, none of the riders were injured and all were able to continue on. And it was Jeff Hicks that was able to power his way to a finish. In second place was Gary Bowen, both of them moving on to the feature round. In the second semi, the first turn took its toll again as Robbie Brown dropped his bike in front of the rest of the field. Scott Burnworth took advantage of the accident and jumped out into the lead. But Donnie Cantaloupe, riding for the second time in the day, was able to pick the lead up. Burnworth then got involved in a battle for second place, but was finally able to finish in second ahead of Mike Beyer. So Burnworth and Cantaloupe moved to the feature as a result of first and second places in the second semi. The consolation is the last chance. Every rider in it has ridden before today, and at the end, only one man will go to the feature. And both Larry Brooks and A.J. Whiting knew it. They battled back and forth, lap after lap. Coming to the finish, Larry Brooks was able to push ahead, but A.J. would have none of that. He pulled up to challenge. They turned the final left-hander for the finish line. It was Brooks, a photo finish ahead of Whiting in the air as Brooks headed for the feature. So now 21 riders have been determined to take the 20 laps for the championship of the San Diego Supercross. We're back at the San Diego Supercross. The pulse begins to quicken. Hands now begin to turn the throttles because we're only seconds away from the drop of the gate.
Of course, Paul, this is when you go on automatic. You're sitting there revving the engine, getting the feel of the bike, and you're thinking about that first turn.
Up and down the line, the riders are prepared. We're ready for the start. Let's go to Gary.
Well, Paul, the moment has come right now. The anticipation electric down here on the line. The engines have come to life. In just a matter of moment, the revs are going to go up to about 7,000 to 8,000 here at the line. When that gate drops right here, it'll go to 9,500 RPMs down the straightaway. They all say it's the most critical moment, diving toward that tight first turn.
All the riders indicate they're ready to go now. The eyes on the gate. The revs come up. They begin to push forward now. We're ready for the start. The gate drops and they're off and running. 21 down for that maelstrom that is the first turn as they hit the berm. It's Lechine out in front. Lechine pulls away from the rest of the field. But Rod Smith drops a bike. We've got riders down on the second turn. Rod Smith, number 6, picks his bike up. Burnworth also involved. A second turn accident as the riders now climbing back on, trying to get going.
Well, Paul, with Burnworth and Hardick going down in that second turn, that's unusual because we've not seen one there all day.
Well, even though the run is only 20 laps, everyone out there knows that it's a sprint. And the faster you can get to the front and stay there, the better chance you have of winning. Right now, it's Ron Lechien out in front. Ward is second. Brecker is in third. Ricky Johnson in fourth. And Dave Bailey, the 1983 Supercross champion, lies in fifth place. The field cleanly strings out now. They're running almost signal file, but out in front, Ron Lechien begins to pull out ahead of the second place bike. There he is, Jeff Ward running in second. But Gary, all of the riders were really set and ready to go for this final run.
You have to anticipate that there's going to be a certain amount of pre-race jitters, and I'm impressed with the fact that it's a teenager who's out there leading. He's only 16 years old, and yet Lechien is riding with all the poise of a veteran as he protects a very substantial early lead.
Jeff Ward continues to chase Lechien now, but Lechien well out in front, Ward in pursuit. And the course now, Johnny Rutherford, beginning to show some wear after a day full of riding.
Yes, Paul, these bikes chew this dirt up and move it around. It's only been in here for a short time, so it will get rutted up, and it's doing just that.
There's Brock Glover, the hometown favorite. He is currently riding well back in 11th place, though. Got a very bad start and is fighting his way up. Now Glover comes around, and Glover stalls it, gives the bike a quick kick and gets it going again. But Brian Myerscough on 45 moves past into 11th place.
Well, we talked about the importance of the start when they all left the gate. You can see that Glover got away poorly. In his qualifying heat earlier, he had a hole shot. Once in front, nobody could catch him. Now he's got a long, long way to go, and it's really questionable if he'll be able to get up and challenge the front runners.
Here come the first five, hopping their way through. Lechien in front, being chased by Ward. Rucker is in third place, Johnson in fourth, and Bailey is still riding in fifth. The top five unchanged.
Paul, I am really impressed with this Lechien. This kid is out there riding like he's much older than he is. He's just doing a marvelous job.
Well, Lechien has had a terrific first year in Supercross. He's already won twice, once at Orlando and once at Lake Whitney, Texas. Also scoring a second and third this season. And out in front now in a commanding lead over Jeff Ward.
Somewhat ironic also that this will be his final ride on Yamaha. He went out and purchased this bike with his own money. He has signed a contract to run for Honda in the coming season. So it's a swan song, if you will, for the teenager Ron Lechien, who continues to lead.
While Lechien is out in front, a tremendous fight has now developed for third place between number 16, that's Ricky Johnson, and Brecker on number 14, as Brecker comes up and challenges Johnson and pushes past. Now, it is Johnson's job to try and get it back, and he does so.
Paul, these guys are really going at it, cutting under each other. Look at there, pulling to the inside, trying to get by. Over the bumps. Boy, this is real racing.
Johnson tried an inside line, cut straight across the turn, but couldn't get past Brecker. Now Brecker moving out and beginning to pull away just a bit, but Johnson closing once again. The fight is for third place as Johnson comes wide on the hairpin. Can he use the power on the 20-foot mountain? No, Brecker stays in third place out in front of Johnson. At the same time, a tremendous fight has developed out in front as Jeff Ward has pulled up and begun to challenge Lechien, as Lechien already is working his way through the back markers.
One of those back markers is Hardick, who was involved in that second turn collision on the first lap. He has now fallen a full lap off the pace being established by young Ron Lechien.
Lechien takes the advantage of getting around Hardick and puts one bike between he and Ward, but now Ward moves around and continues clear space between first and second place. And there is this fight as well. It's actually a battle for 11th place as Brock Glover continues his fight with Myerscough. He's closed down on the back of Myerscough several times, but has not been able to get past. John Findleday is also in that fight as well, but Brock Glover suffering his problems. No problems for the number 18 machine, Ron Lechien. He is out in front and running smoothly.
Gary, is there anything you can see from your vantage point as to why Glover hasn't made a move or is running better?
John, I think it all relates to that start, the fact that he got away off the line so poorly. Most of these riders will tell you that maybe you can make up 5 or 6 positions, but you fall out of that top 10 in the start and it's just too far to go. That appears to be the case for Glover, but remember, he's a 6-time national champion. If anybody has the skills to get back in front, he certainly would qualify in that account.
Well, Brock Glover now using all of his tremendous experience as he battles well back for 11th place with the 45 machine of Brian Myerscough. Glover on number 1 as he is fighting to move up. And the cross flags given to the leaders now and to the rest of the field. 10 laps. Halfway point being indicated by the starter as they come over the finish line. And the first 10 laps have all been led by Ron Lechien. Jeff Ward continues his chase in second place.
And Paul, you know, just past halfway in this event now, we're going to start seeing the fatigue factor as we watch Brecker and Johnson again. They've been going at it flat out all night. Here we see Johnson trying to make a move, going by on the inside. I think he's taking over that position.
And Ricky Johnson moves into third place, gets past Brecker, and now assumes third position. So it's Lechien, Ward, and Ricky Johnson running at the top of the order now. And a commanding position he takes now, moving well away from Brecker. Perhaps there is a problem with Brecker.
Paul, no indication of a problem that we're aware of. Unfortunately, here's a young rider who's been plagued by mechanical problems throughout his career. You can't help but wonder if once again that's causing him to fall well off the pace as we continue to watch Lechien and Ward run 1-2.
And there you get a good indication of the interval between first and second place. Lechien on number 18, who has led from the start over the 9 bike of Jeff Ward. And Lechien still well out in front, totally unchallenged in his run here in San Diego.
Paul, it's just amazing to watch the smoothness, the way he gets around here. It doesn't look bumpy when he's going around.
Of course, Lechien picking up a tremendous advantage from his tuner, his mechanic, who is the fellow that worked for so long with Hurricane Bob Hanna. Keith McCarty, who began working on bikes very early in his life and is known for his ability to communicate with the rider and prepare a good machine. He has certainly done it here in San Diego for Ron Lechien. Their Ward continues his chase, but Lechien still unchallenged in front.
Ward has been losing ground, so I would think this kid's just going to wear him into the ground.
There you see the interval again, first to second place, and here comes the third place rider, Ricky Johnson, who continues in hot pursuit. The top 3 are running without anyone in their way at all, so they are all able to run flat out at this point. But here is Dave Bailey as he chases Brecker. This is now developing as a battle for 4th place as Bailey closes down and begins to challenge Brecker.
David Bailey has been moving up steadily, Paul, all day. There he goes, and he gets by him on the inside, heading for the start-finish line jump.
Bailey on number 58 gets past Brecker, so that adds to the speculation that maybe something is wrong with either Brecker's machine or he's beginning to suffer from fatigue. But the little bandit, Dave Bailey, moves now into 4th place. So it's Lechien. There comes Ward. Here is Johnson. And now in 4th place is Dave Bailey.
David Bailey has had a spectacular year. You may remember he won the Supercross opener at Anaheim that we carried on Sports World. Went on to win the Supercross championship. He was the national 250cc champ. He was the Super Series champ. And most recently, he was the top American rider in the Motocross des Nations in Belgium. And right now, he's coming out with a rush.
Well, now Lechien has to begin to accept the challenge of bikes in front of him. That is the slower traffic that he has to weave his way through. And at this time in the run, that can be very critical. Again, Johnny Rutherford, because fatigue is a factor and mistakes can be made.
Yes, because you got a group of guys riding together, Paul, and somebody's got to make a mistake. And when they do, if you're not fresh and ready for it, you could get in trouble. And that could be the problem here. So he has to really take it easy getting through the back marker.
Most of these riders, though, well recognize when the leader is closing on them, and you'll see them move over as soon as they recognize it and give him room. Now 16-year-old Ron Lechien gets bottled up behind one of them and is able to keep the power on and keep moving, but he almost stalled the bike.
there you can see he was ready for that. So he's not fatigued by any means. He was ready, able to roll out of it, hold his position, wait for another chance at the guy.
The power of youth holding for Ron Luschine, who in 1981 was the champion on the 100cc Mini. He's moved up to his first year now in Supercross and is really putting on quite a show here at San Diego. Now he heads for the rockers. That's Larry Brooks on number 5 out in front. And Luschine handling the traffic very smoothly as he comes through.
Oh, Ward has gone down. Our second place runner is down.
So a change here. All of a sudden, Ward, who has been in second place from the start, is down. He is away from his bike. It looks like he might be out of the show. Jeff Ward, who was running in second place, drops the bike and may be out. Ron Luschine still in first, but that allows Ricky Johnson to move up into second place, and Dave Bailey is currently running in third place.
That's a terrible break for Ward. You know, he was riding there in second. I don't know whether he was able to make a move and try to pull into contention toward the end of the race, but the chain broke, put him off of the course, and now he's out of the race.
Ward runs away from the circuit and away from second place. Luschine is out in front. Let's go down to Gary.
Boy, it's hard to believe, Paul, that this young man is only 16 years of age. Luschine, just as cool as can be. He had traffic to contend with for a couple of laps, no problem. He's just breezing along. It looks like it's going to be an easy victory now that Ward is down.
A very smooth rider who has definitely proven he is a factor in Stadium Supercross. Smoothly out in front with great style. Ron Luschine leads. Ricky Johnson is in second. We're back at San Diego in the closing laps of the Supercross. And Ron Luschine has led right from the start of this run. But Ricky Johnson is making a desperate effort to catch up. Here comes Johnson on number 16 as he chases Ron Luschine.
Boy, he has really closed the gap, Paul, and he's trying to make a valiant effort. Don't know if he'll be able to get it done. There's only a few laps left.
Luschine has ridden very smoothly right from the word go. Not too much energy. He just seems to take it nice and easily around the course, where some of the riders throw it spectacular in the air. Luschine takes it nice, smooth, keeps the bike down, and keeps it fast. But Ricky Johnson in pursuit as the white flag comes out with just one lap to go. And Brock Glover, who had his problems in the early going, has managed to move up now to 5th place. Luschine comes past the back marker, up over that giant mountain as he is on his final lap here at San Diego. But Ricky Johnson pours on the power and begins to close.
Ricky Johnson, as you can see there, is moving in. He might be in contention. It'll be very hard for him to close that gap, but you never know what can happen in the rest of this course.
Ricky Johnson on the final lap as well as he's chasing Ron Luschine. 17 of the 21 riders that started here are all from Southern California. A very important event for these Californians, but most important for this youngster who has won 2 Stadium Supercrosses already. And as Johnson tries to run, he won't do it. And Ron Luschine throws the bike high in the air and acknowledges the checkered flag and victory. Johnson comes across the line in second place. Here's Dave Bailey across for third. Goat Breaker comes toward the line in 4th place, and here is Brock Glover, the man that won this event the past 2 years, in 5th place. He was as far back as 12th at one time in the running, but was able to work his way up into 5th position. So Ron Luschine has notched his 3rd Supercross victory. Ricky Johnson in 2nd, Dave Bailey in 3rd, Goat Breaker in 4th, Brock Glover in 5th. Here's Gary.
Well, here he is. He hasn't even had a chance yet to peel off the helmet. The jubilation is written clearly on the face. The teenager from El Cajon in front of the hometown fans has come up with what I'm sure he'll agree is the biggest victory of his very young career. He fumbles with that safety catch there. We'll get the helmet off. Ron, congratulations. That's just a terrific ride.
Yeah, it sure felt good. Got a good start and felt great.
In front of all these people that have seen you come up through the ranks, this has got to feel particularly good.
Yeah, it sure does, especially in front of my hometown crowd. I got a lot of friends there, a lot of classmates. I just want to thank them all for coming and cheering me on.
Was there any particular moment when you said to yourself, I'm going to win this thing, I've got it wrapped up?
Well, I really didn't know. I seen Rick coming up, and I wasn't sure if I had enough distance on him to keep him, and as soon as I turned that last turn over there, I knew I had it.
Did they give you the information, I assume, that Ward went down when he was chasing you?
No, I didn't get that.
Well, he went down, and that really eased things for the last few laps, although Johnson made a run at you, but it was a convincing wire-to-wire victory.
Yeah, it sure was.
Ron Lechine, he's the winner in San Diego as we go back up to Paul and John.
A victory in front of a hometown crowd for Ron Lechine. Congratulations to Ron Lechine at San Diego. This is Paul Page for Johnny Rutherford and Gary Gerald. So long.
From San Diego to Los Angeles, the 1983 Supercross Series continues on two wheels. I'm your host, Larry Huffman. Now join me as I take you back to the 1983 Super Bowl of Motocross with Bruce Penhall and myself as hosts. Look for David Bailey, Mark Barnett, Brock Glover, Jeff Ward, and even look for young Danny Magoo Chandler in this Supercross Classic.
The Recreation Network presents from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, the Miller highlights Super Bowl of Motocross. Join Supercross originator Mike Whitmer for the largest and most prestigious Supercross event in the world with some of the world's top Supercross competitors. Brock Glover, David Bailey, and Mark Barnett, to name a few, as they compete for the largest Supercross payday in history.
From Pasadena, California, in the world-famous Rose Bowl, home of the Super Bowl, the Rose Bowl Football Classic, and UCLA football action. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman. Tonight, action of a different type. Young gladiators in helmets, shoulder pads, and protective leathers, but they're riding exotic two-wheeled motocrossers. The Super Bowl of Motocross, the Miller High Life Super Bowl of Motocross. With me to call the action, Bruce Penhall, a star of Chips and a two-time World Speedway champion himself. This track looks tough, buddy.
I'll tell you what, Larry, I have so much respect for these gladiators out here tonight. We have degrees reaching up to 90 degrees tonight. We had a shower storm which washed away most of the smog this morning, but I'll tell you what, the heat's going to be a factor. Plus, this is the roughest Supercross track I've ever seen.
The heat in the 90s, the humidity almost that high. It's going to be some action tonight. Sports crowd assembled that weekend, and right in the middle of the front row, David Bailey looking at a payday of $198,000 if he can pull it off tonight. But as luck would have it, he goes up against Brock Glover, the Yamaha Golden Boy, the superstar who's won the Super Bowl twice before. He's up against Glover in heat number one. The riders set, lean forward on the bikes. The gate set to drop. It's down. And David Bailey gets a hole shot on the inside with Glover on the outside into that first turn. Glover goes wide and Bailey slips by on the inside. So David Bailey, a beautiful start for the young man from Axton, Virginia. Bailey in front, Glover running in second spot. Up to the hairpin turn, Glover goes by on the inside. Glover flying off the jump, takes the lead away from Bailey in the first 10 seconds. But Bailey comes right back. It's Bailey back in front through the mud, the blood, the beer here at Pasadena. David Bailey in front and Glover is trying to go around him. Alan King in the factory Suzuki in third. $198,000 on the line for David Bailey if he can pull it off tonight. And the pressure on this young man is incredible, but look at him fly. David Bailey, number 11 in front. Glover running in second spot and King in third. Bailey, Glover, and King over the jumps. Meanwhile, back in the pack, young Jeff Ward gets off. Ward trying to double jump and goes right on his head. A very dangerous part of the course, the double jumps. Meanwhile, Bailey out in front, looks behind him. Glover right on his tailpipe, 2 bike lengths back. And Bailey is riding like a virtuoso. Bailey to the inside, Bailey to the outside, and Glover can't figure out how to get around him. The crowd evenly divided between cheering for Bailey and cheering for Glover, and Bailey is riding a flawless race. Heat number 1, the passing the Rose Bowl, the Miller High Life Super Bowl of Motocross, the granddaddy of them all. And David Bailey is on his way to picking up a record paycheck. Bailey lapping slower riders in this first heat. And getting into traffic, and that's where it's dangerous. But Bailey still managing to keep ahead of Brock Glover. Blocking Glover. Fading, causing Glover to try to go to both sides, and Bailey continues to block him. A beautiful job, a battle between Honda and Yamaha. And Glover is frustrated. David Bailey heading for the checkered, and there it is. A cross-up, and David Bailey wins heat number 1.
With us down here on the track, we have probably one of the most consistent motocross riders in history today, David Bailey. We understand that you study tapes before each race and after race to see what you're doing wrong. Does any of that come from your father?
Well, a lot of it does. It was pretty much his idea for the videotapes to come into the sport. He started videotaping me about 2 years ago, and ever since then it's been nice to watch the films, you know, for riding techniques as well as other riders' techniques, and just for the joy to have the films, because a lot of times my mom can't go, and it's just videotaping is really kind of taken over in the world today, and you can just observe everything that you're doing out there on the racetrack to try to improve.
And to show us what going around this Supercross track at the Rose Bowl looks like from a rider's viewpoint, here's David Bailey's father, Gary Bailey, himself a champion in the early 70s, taking a helmet camera around the course here at Pasadena. Through the left and right-hand turns and over the jumps and down the straightaway at close to 70 miles an hour through the grass, because the Rose Bowl had the first grass track ever at a Supercross in the United States. Bailey, 40 years old and still a good competitor in Supercross, hitting 65, 70 miles an hour down the straightaway and over the jumps. And finally, coming up, the Miller Mountain, the highest jump ever at a California Supercross, right where our Recreation Network camera is positioned.
We'll be back to the Rose Bowl for more of the Miller High Life Super Bowl of Motocross.
Bailey knows that the only man who can take the championship away from him is Mark Barnett. And he's trying to open up a big lead as possible early in this semi number 1. David Bailey out in front, number 11 on the factory Honda, followed by Brock Glover, the Golden Boy, on the factory Yamaha. And in third spot and hovering, getting set to pounce, Mark the Bomber Barnett, number 2. Over the double jumps. Still, Bailey in complete control. And if he gets any more height on that, he's going to have to apply for a pilot's license. Bailey in front, Glover's second, and Barnett in third. And look at the momentum of their battle, how far it's taken them away from the rest of the pack. Barnett trying to figure a way to get around Bailey and stay in front of Barnett. Over the Miller Mountain, Barnett moving right up behind. Brock Glover's tailpipe. Glover trying to go on the inside. He stalls. Glover stalls, and Barnett goes into second. A free ticket to second spot, courtesy of Brock Glover. And Barnett is now stalking Bailey. David Bailey in front, but now the only man that can take the championship away from him running in second spot, Mark the Bomber Barnett. This is only semi number 1, but you can tell, and here's the rider down. You can tell that Bailey is feeling the pressure. Kevin Davis of Roland Heights, California goes down. And he looks to be hurt. Bailey looks behind him, and Barnett goes by the inside. Barnett slips by. Bailey takes it back. Bailey slamming into Barnett. Barnett taking over the lead. Mark the Bomber Barnett has gone out in front of the factory Suzuki. Bailey is sitting in second, and the crowd, the Barnett fans, are standing and cheering. Barnett, the 3-time National 125 champion and the ex-Supercross champion, coming back again. The white flag, 1 lap to go. Bailey in second spot, quite a ways behind Barnett. As Barnett launches himself over those jumps. The final lap, Mark Barnett in front, David Bailey in second spot, and Brock Glover in third. Here's the checker. And Mark the Bomber Barnett serves notice to Bailey. The main event is going to be a knockdown, drag-out brawl. Barnett takes the win, Bailey is second, and Brock Glover's in third, and you've got to wonder what's going through David Bailey's mind. last chance qualifier, and only the top 2 from this race will transfer directly to the main event. On the outside of that long starting lineup, number 21, Steve Martin. And a Cinderella story. Marty Typhoon Tripes, who won the first and second Super Bowls of motocross, is back 10 years and 30 pounds later. They line up and lean forward. Here's the start. All important. And out in front, a pair of Hondas. Number 21, Steve Martin, and number 19, Kenny Keelan. It is Martin and Keelan out in front. Tripes in the middle of the pack. Over the downhill jump. Number 19, Kenny Keelan, Brooksville, Florida, takes the lead. Steve Martin right on its tailpipe. Steve Martin and Kenny Keelan battling back and forth for the lead in this all-important last chance qualifier. The track getting rutted now. Much more difficult than early in the evening. In third spot, flying out of nowhere, is a 16-year-old from El Cajon, California, on a factory Yamaha, Ron Lachine. Meanwhile, back in front goes Steve Martin. Martin and Keelan out in front. Lachine running in third spot. Whoa, look at Lachine flying over the jump. Ron Lachine, 16 years old, a high school junior, battling into second spot, and he's got second. It is Steve Martin in front and Ron Lachine second, and look out, Marty Tripes is down. The big man goes down hard at the base of the big jump. He's trying to get up. Marty Typhoon Tripes goes down hard, lands on his shoulder, and apparently is out of the race, an injured shoulder. Meanwhile, back in front, number 21, Steve Martin out in front, with Ron Lachine in second spot. It is Honda versus Yamaha. Steve Martin, number 21, on a Honda in front, and Lachine is right on his rear tire. Lachine on the inside, trying to pass Martin. And Martin holds him off. But for how long? Lachine goes wide. This kid is a wild and crazy lad. Going by the inside. Lachine throws a rooster tail of dirt right up into Steve Martin's face. So Ron Lachine, 16 years old in the factory Yamaha, has taken the lead in the last chance qualifier. Steve Martin in second spot. Lachine with a maturity far beyond his 16 years. He is riding like a seasoned veteran. The checkered flag comes out. Lachine gets sideways. Let's take a look at that again. Whoa! And the crowd goes crazy. So Ron Lachine wins the last chance qualifier with Steve Martin in second. They line up for the main, and here it is. 20 laps and 67,000 people are standing and cheering. The gate drops. And out in front, it is Glover. Brock Glover in front, gets the whole shot. Scott Burnworth in second spot. But Glover, a beautiful start for the young man from El Cajon, California. Glover off the giant jump. Second spot, Scott Burnworth. Bailey is back in mid-pack. Danny Magoo Chandler running in third spot. Ron Lachine in fourth. So the Golden Boy, Brock Glover, opens up the lead early in the main event. 20 laps, the best Supercross riders in the world. Scott Burnworth in second and Danny Magoo Chandler in third. Chandler trying to go into second spot ahead of Burnworth. It is Yamaha in front. Glover riding a flawless race early in the main event. 20 laps. Johnny O'Mara, number 4, back around fifth spot. But Glover building up an incredible lead early in the race. Brock Glover pulling away from the rest of the pack, riding an absolute flawless race over the double jumps. Look at him fly 80 feet through the air at Pasadena. Brock Glover on the factory Yamaha. Yamaha, the factory, adding several $100,000 in prize money for the upcoming 1984 season. Danny Magoo Chandler in second spot. Burnworth running in third. Lachine in fourth, and here comes Barnett, number 2, in fifth. Barnett knows he's got to get up and pass Glover to take home the championship. 67,000 people standing and cheering, and Glover can hear them. It is Glover, number 6, in front, Chandler in second, Burnworth in third. Then Lachine, and then Barnett, and Barnett is starting to move. Bailey back in 6th spot. Glover in front, trying to hold on to that lead and having no problem whatsoever. Riding an absolutely flawless race. Lyles is down. The Kawasaki rider from Georgia, Billy Lyles, is down and remounts over the double jumps. The double jumps were designed specifically so the riders couldn't go over them. According to the builder, it was impossible to go over the double jump. The only problem was nobody told the riders. Number 6, Brock Glover in front, as these human pogo sticks fly around this Pasadena Rose Bowl track. David the Man and Bailey sitting in 6th spot. He can win the $198,000 if he finishes in this position, and he knows it. His father anxiously watching. Oh, look out! Alan King almost going down, and he saved it. Danny Magoo Chandler battling Barnett. Back in about 3rd spot. Johnson down. Rick Johnson is down. The winner of the Tokyo Super Bowl, Johnson, is out early in this race. He pushes the bike to the side of the course. Meanwhile, out in front, Brock Glover, Lachine trying to scratch his way up. Barnett trying to get around Lachine. Look out, a rider down! Gary Bailey runs across the track, but it is not his son. Bailey still in 6th spot. David Bailey still in 6th. Glover goes by the fallen rider. Glover, an incredible, almost insurmountable lead. Running in front, number 6, the Golden Boy from El Cajon, California. Lapping riders almost at will now. Meanwhile, Barnett is all over the track, snarling and snapping at Chandler, trying to go into 2nd, almost losing it. Number 6, your leader. Glover, 2nd place, number 22. Chandler in 3rd spot, number 2, Barnett. 1 lap to go, the white flag out. And look out, going over the double jumps. Barnett is going into 2nd spot. Barnett is 1 rider away from a $200,000 payoff. If he can catch Glover, and Glover is slowing down. The checkered flag, he's got it. Brock Glover wins the Miller High Life Superbowl of Motocross. Mark the Bomber Barnett is 2nd, and 3rd spot, Danny Magoo Chandler. But finishing 6th and wrapping up the Supercross and Super Series Championship, David the Bandit Bailey.
Brock Glover, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Golden Boy of Motocross. You rode fantastic, buddy.
Thanks, Bruce. I felt really good tonight, and had a little troubles in the heat race and semi running in the back of installing my machine one time, and I got it all together for the main. I felt real smooth, and I'm glad it was in the main event, not in the other races.
6-time national champion Brock Glover, a true Supercross hero, along with 1983 Super Bowl purse winner David Bailey. Both will go down in Supercross history. Just 2 more Supercross racing legends we're adding to our list of heroes. The guys that have given us those thrills we can only experience on 2 wheels. I'm Larry Huffman. Thanks for joining us.